In this episode of the Omega podcast, we have an HR expert, Maria Harris, discussing people management, relationship building, technology disruption, and automation. Let's accelerate.
Welcome to the Omega Expert Chat with Maria Harris, SVP of Rockland Trust Human Resources Department. She joined the bank in 2003 as a recruiter and later was promoted to Director of Employment and Colleague Relations prior to being CHRO. During her tenure at Rockland Trust, the bank has been ranked by the Boston Globe as one of the top places to work in Massachusetts for over 14 years. Recently, Maria has co-led their Diversity Council and developed action plans to support racial equality and social justice. Maria, it's an honor to have you on the podcast.
Hi, Keenan. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited to jump right into the realm of human resources, people management, and learning a bit more about your starting phases in your career. What prompted you to start your career in human resources?
Yeah, so I would answer that question, and it's kind of like a corny answer because I really just enjoy people. And really, I enjoy business. So my major in college was business management, and I minored in human resources. And this is just a great blend. Like being a corporate HR professional is a great blend of sort of understanding the business and really participating in the business, but really understanding human elements of what makes an organization great. And it truly is the people.
Absolutely. People management, understanding how to leverage the skill sets of your existing workforce are critical steps that organizations, I believe more so today, are evaluating to be key stepping stones to the future success of the companies. Yeah. However, in 2023, as we both know, technology has been playing a significant role in managing people through the use of automation, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation. However, many organizations are still hesitant to integrate, for instance, HR technology for issues in slow labor shortages, reducing resignations, facilitating different hybrid work models. But what particular innovative processes or changes has stood out to you throughout your tenure at Rockland Trust?
Yeah. So what I would say is that Rockland Trust is really an organization. You know, our tagline is where each relationship matters. We really take that to heart, and we really understand that people and the interactions that they have with others is what really makes us special. So the ability to really be able to connect with our customers and our colleagues within the community and really showcase who we are as individuals and build trust has really been the cornerstone of what's made us successful. So when I think about automation, what our philosophy has been is how do we make work easier? How do we make banking easier? And to be able to do those two things, it's really enabling us to think about, like, instead of these manual tasks that we have college graduates or really talented people just in general that are doing on a daily basis, how do we make their job easier so that they can scale up and do things that are really interesting to them, whether it's, participating in projects or really being able to connect with a customer and help their businesses grow. We're a commercial organization. So really that time that we can really spend with individuals and helping them build their business, advocating for them, helping them build business plans, that's what's truly important to us. And so moving away from sort of those manual tasks and using, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's RPA or bots that really handle the manual entries, that has benefited us in terms of like saving time, that allows people to really focus on what's important.
Saving time, being able to mitigate repetitive workflows that come in on a day-to-day basis. And I really loved how you touched upon how you are focused on the intersection between your employees and who they're serving, right? Your customers, your client base, and being able to find that nice blend between the two. But when it comes to automation, I noticed that from an HR perspective, there's a lot of trust and transparency issues that many people have highlighted to be a key concern. Do you find that to be an area within your conversations with your technology officers that is a prime issue when it comes to trust, transparency, being able to really relay a lot of key details about the business to, for instance, an automation tool, but then there's some issues when it comes to confidentiality, cybersecurity. Has that been a key issue for you?
Yeah, so I think I'll touch upon that in two different ways. So I'll start with sort of the information, the data sort of that goes into the system and concerns that people have in terms of information security. So we do have a really great, talented group of professionals in the bank that ensure that our information is secure in the best way that they can. So using bots and being able to really use people to ensure on a regular basis that they're auditing what the bots are doing so that, they're not creating any situation where we may be putting our customer data or even our employee data at risk. So we take that seriously, and we do have audits in place that also ensure that we're maintaining that. With that said, I'm sure you've seen there are large organizations, very sophisticated organizations, TJX being one of them, that have had breaches. So, what we want to do is stay on top of that and ensure that if we do see something different, that we're making sure that we catch it in time, that we're not sacrificing data. The other aspect of that I'll say is that what we hear, in terms of like bringing in all these bots or bringing in automation is that people feel like, is that going to replace the work that I do today? And we want to be clear to say what we're looking to do is augment the work that you do today. We want to be able to give you some time to learn new skills, should you want to do that. Or also, as I mentioned before, there's plenty of work to go around. We're not reducing our headcount, but what we're able to do is really augment the talent shortage that everybody is experiencing today. And also, like I said earlier, is make work easier. No one wants to sit there and type in an employee or a customer's address every single day. That gets mundane. But there are other things that we can actually work on project-wise that is much more exciting and innovative and impactful to the organization. And that's really what we're looking to do.
We hope that you are enjoying this episode of the Omega Podcast. We want to hear from you. Send us your comments or feedback by clicking the icon below. Let's get back to our executive conversation.
That's exciting. I think every organization should adopt that methodology, that type of thinking, because it's not the essence of the technology replacing human capital. It's a tool. It's a resource that can be leveraged to help accelerate the progress and even the developmental process from a career perspective for those that are within HR and in other facilities or industries within the organization.
Absolutely.
But on that point, when it comes to being people-centric, do you find that technology will be replacing that aspect when it comes to recruiting? Do you see recruitment pipelines integrating technology, for instance, the use of artificial intelligence to screen resumes, to replace the aspect of a human being looking through a resume, seeing keywords about that candidate to validate if they might be a good fit for the organization? Do you see that in that instance playing a key role in the future? Are you hesitant to use that type of technology yourself?
I am not concerned about computers or technology, I should say, replacing people's jobs. We've been talking about, innovation for centuries. And so like when you think about the Industrial Revolution and how everyone felt like, okay, this is gonna eliminate my role. It didn't eliminate jobs. What it did is create additional roles. So again, what we're looking to do is being able to, one, make work easier, make banking with us easier, or doing regular day-to-day sort of things that you need to do to get your life going easier, and enable others to really learn new skills. We actually partnered with an outside consultant, and we taught many of our employees. So we went through our development program for many of our employees to really learn how to use automation. And we've got some great success stories of folks who have created bots that have eliminated, as we previously discussed, manual work that frees you up to do other things that are much more engaging and exciting.
Yeah. And on that point, when it comes to you at Rockland Trust investing into your workforce, what are some particular tips or areas that you would see the workforce to come, as you mentioned earlier, college students that are starting in their career should be aware about when it comes to some of the trends and skill sets that they should probably start looking into if they're looking for a career in HR?
Mm-hmm. So I would say, and this is sort of my tip that I give to everyone, and it doesn't really matter what industry you want to go into or what field of study that you're currently in, really remain curious. Remaining curious, staying up to date with what it is that's going on in the industry that you're in, the type of work that you do is so critical. And if you can remain curious and continue to either read or listen to podcasts like this, Keenan, or, connect with fellow professionals as well and continue to learn from others, that is really the key to success. And a long career is really staying curious. What happens is that some people think that I've graduated from college or I've read this one book on whatever it might be, and I'm done. And there's multiple ways to learn, and really maintaining that sort of level of curiosity in the field in which you're in is really beneficial to you yourself, and obviously the organization or your own company if you're an entrepreneur.
That's perfect. Success in every field starts with curiosity. If you're not interested in learning or being adamant about learning something new, there's nothing wrong with learning something new, adapting to the current trends, because you might become an expert in that area and could be at the forefront of a promotion, advancing your own organization when it comes to those types of skill sets. As we both know, in our day and age, there still is a gender gap when it comes to leaders in specific fields. How do you see leaders in your field closing the gender gap, especially within banking?
Yes, that's a really good question. And I'll tell you, after, 60 years of really trying to balance out the playing field in regards to gender and even, race and ethnicity and LGBTQ, it's been a challenge. And what I would say is that it's continuously, again, I'll say staying curious about what are the needs of women in the workplace? What are the needs of men in the workplace? What are the needs of, people who have difference? And really learning and piloting different programs, development programs, opening up to conversations with folks of difference to really sort of understand what are the needs in the workplace. And so we've done everything from, business acumen to conversation circles that are really just, opening up and trying to build a sense of belonging in an organization, and piloting those programs and learning from that, and then really just continuing to build off of that. And we've seen that build trust within the organization because people feel like we're really investing in their success and we're really listening. So I always say that, if you're going to listen, what you need to then do is, what do you do with it? So talking about sort of, here's what I heard, here's what I can do, here are the things that we can't do and why they're not feasible, but let's work on what we can do together and see how we can really push that sort of effort together. We try to stay away from sort of things that don't seem very inclusive, but what I will tell you, and obviously we have a council that is called Diversity and Inclusion, but what we're really focusing on is really how do we help each other succeed? And it's different for many different people for many different reasons. There are women who have children in the workplace who might be single parents, and that poses one challenge. But then there are also maybe women in the workplace who are really looking for different levels of flexibility that don't have to do with like another family. It's just a different sort of aspect of life. So it's really just listening to what are the needs of individuals and not just making assumptions and acting.
Yes. Relationship building, in my opinion, is the most integral part to having a successful business. If you don't understand the needs of your employees at the starting point, how do you expect them a year, 2 years, as they are given 40 plus hours a week of their time to your company and you don't even know who they are as a person? I think if you're not developing those relationships, you're setting yourself up for unsuccess, not being successful. But when it comes to that trust and integrity and relationship building, what are some key areas that you've noticed successful leaders have integrated that you would probably, replicate in your leadership or that you've seen in other leadership?
Yeah, I would say it's authenticity. It's really about what is your style of communication? It's not about being some other leader that you've read about or learned about in some other way. It's really, what is your style and how do you authentically communicate with your staff? People don't leave organizations because of the desk, the computer system, even at times because of the pay. They really leave due to their manager or their supervisor. And so how do you authentically build relationships with individuals? What does that mean? It means that you have to be curious. I know that sounds like I've used that word a dozen different times, but you have to be curious about the individual that's in front of you. What's their background? What are they interested in doing? Where are their skill gaps? How do you help them fulfill those? And it's just being authentic, and it's not trying to carry on someone else's style of communication. It's really being who you are and remaining curious about the person in front of you.
Well said. Well said. Are there any particular pieces of advice or anything that you would leave our listeners with?
Yeah, there's so many things that I feel like I've learned, especially within the last 3 years following COVID. And I guess what I would say is that it's really important that you understand the needs of your team, the needs of your workforce. And whether you're doing that regularly through stay interviews, and asking questions like, why do you stay and what would make you leave? I think those two questions are so important. And again, I'll just say it's really staying in communication with your team and really understanding the individuals that are in your team, because it's not everyone has the same needs. Not everyone has the same aspirations or desires, and really being able to work with people's strengths is about learning what those things are. So that's how I would leave. Those are my tips for the day.
Well, thank you, Maria, for being on the Omega Expert Chat.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I've enjoyed it. I hope you invite me back in the future.